Welcome everyone to this video insight. My name's Scott Phillips, and with me today I've got Gary Rollo, Portfolio Manager for Montgomery Small Companies Fund. Welcome, Gary.
Thanks, Scott. What you got for me today?
I want to talk Alliance Airlines. Here's a business which you have followed for a long time, and there's plenty of movement at the station here. Can you just remind everyone what Alliance Airlines does?
Sure. Alliance Aviation is an aviation infrastructure company. What's interesting about them is they're willing to invest counter-cyclically. So when the aviation sector is in distress, they'll go out, buy assets, aircraft, put them on the balance sheet, and then over time put those aircraft to work. And so that's obviously happened as a result of COVID, and now we're looking at what the earnings power of those aircraft going to work are going to do for the business.
Yeah, okay. So during that COVID period, I know that they bought a lot of planes when everyone else didn't want planes and were trying to offload them. So have they been put to work now, and what's the impact on earnings been?
Sure, that's a great question. It's one of the reasons why we're very interested in the business. So for sure, the significance of the asset purchases, first of all, let's deal with that. They had 37 aircraft pre-COVID. By the time we get all the aircraft they've bought at good prices as a result of COVID, they'll have 100.
Wow.
So a very significant uplift in capacity. And the other thing that's interesting is the aircraft type is different. And this aircraft type has the capability to operate at higher rates of utilization. And the more you fly, the more money you make. Now, they have had trouble getting all this to work on time, because we all know about the disruption in the aviation sector, and if you're expanding capacity, well, you need to add more pilots, and that's not been that easy. We're coming through that, that's all working away, and now we're starting to see those aviation assets going to work, and hopefully the earnings coming through, and that's what we can see going forward from here.
Gary, it's well known that there's always been a mantra that you don't want to buy airline stocks, but in the case of Alliance Airlines, it's not a typical airline business as such. So just explain to us why this business is different to other airline type stocks.
Sure. So my introduction said quite carefully, Alliance is an aviation infrastructure company, not an airline. So they will buy assets and then lease them out to those that want to operate them, or they will operate them themselves, but flying miners from capital city to mine site. Bit difference. They don't take fuel price risk, they don't take occupancy in the aircraft risk, they don't take ticket price risk. So all of those factors are not at play here. What is at play is them being cost competitive, and here we look for their competitive advantages. They have the lowest unit cost, capital cost of aircraft in the sector because they're willing to counter-cyclically invest, and also they have the lowest operating cost in the sector and the greatest on-time performance. That combination makes them different and delivers the earnings power when all the assets go to work.
Okay, so looking at the share price performance of Alliance Airlines over the past few years, as you can see on the screen here now, looks like it's sort of just tracked sideways over the past few years. So what's going to change that and makes it such a great investment from this period going forward?
Great question, and that's what we're all about, finding stocks that are going to go up. Now, the key factor here is earnings. This is an earnings story, the best kind to find. The reality is that during COVID, we haven't seen the true earnings power of the business. Qantas are now Alliance's largest customer. They are leasing these aircraft. They've got 18 of the new aircraft in service. They'll eventually, we think, go to 30. That dramatically lifts the flight hours that this business is operating under. For instance, in pre-COVID times, the business was doing around 35,000 flight hours. These 30 aircraft going to Qantas, if they fly at the full clip, will add 100,000 hours. This is a business that's paid by the hour. So the earnings are going to come through, and that drives the share price. Historically, this business has traded at around 5 times EBITDA. If I look into consensus numbers, which we think are too light, it's on about 4 times next year. So our view is undervalued, underestimated earnings. That should drive the share price, and that's why we're invested.
Terrific. Now, Qantas own 19.8% of Alliance Airlines. They obviously see something special in it, but they did try and bid for the company, but the ACCC knocked them back. So is that off the table?
Great question. ACCC situation remains still live. The ball looks to be in Qantas's court if they want to appeal. Alliance don't control that, so we'll have to see what happens. Qantas's option on that bid expires at some point in December, so the clock is ticking. It could well be that that doesn't happen. If it does, then we'll get 475 versus a share price that's around 330 today, something like that. But the earnings power in this business has dramatically changed since Qantas made the bid. So really, do we want that Qantas bid to go ahead? That's a key question for investors.
Sure. And look, every investment's not without some level of potential risk in business execution or the market changing. What are the key risks that are on your mind for this business going forward?
Sure. Well, for sure, the key risk is always the delivery of earnings. This business has a founder-led management team, strong track record of operations. However, if the Qantas contracts don't come through the way that we're expecting, if the flight hours, the intensity of use isn't there for these new aircraft, that will impact the earnings outlook of the business. It looks to us, though, that that's not going to be the case. Qantas's capacity is going to require Alliance's contribution, so we think that that all looks in good shape.
So there you have it, Alliance Airlines looking to take off. It's a core holding within the Montgomery Small Companies Fund. We'll continue to sort of keep you updated as we have on this stock over time. Continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and we look forward to talking with you again soon. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Scott.